Conformity is the tendency to act and think like the people around us. Being similar to the people around us helps us fit in and communicate more efficiently. These tools help us join a group, which is evolutionarily beneficial. Consequently, we have an inherent tendency to imitate others. We can mimic others in subtle ways, such as talking speed, hand gestures, or body posture, or it can be forthright imitations, such as hairstyles, fashion trends, music choice, or even getting married at a certain age.
Normative influence is very powerful and can lead people to overrule what they know is right. The Solomon-Asch line test proved that even though participants knew which line was correct, in 1/3 out of the 12 trials they overruled that idea and chose wrong, simply because the participants before them had also chosen wrong. The test also found that participants were less likely to conform when they believed the other participants wouldn't hear their answer. Teenagers are more likely to conform than adults, and collectivistic societies conform more than individualistic societies because they place group goals over individual preferences.
Descriptive norms can be defined as the typical patterns of behavior generally accompanied by the expectation that people will behave according to the pattern. This affects us because we tend to follow what the crowd is doing when we put ourselves in a new or unfamiliar situation. This allows us to gain information from people that we may not have. Informational social influence can be defined as a psychological phenomenon where people assume the actions of others in an attempt to reflect correct behavior for a given situation. One example can be how people most likely seek the advice from authority figures such as policemen in ambiguous situations where it's not clear what they should do.
Group polarization in organizational structures tends to allow for a natural hierarchy in society. With the norms that we follow, if we see people listening or taking orders from an individual, we rely on the assumption that there is someone to be listened to. Due to that assumption, we create a natural disparity between two parties, and that rationale creates roles for people to fill, the authority figure and the subordinate. No matter the authority figure, we obey in certain contexts because of age differences, experience, and credibility.
While obedience and conformity are both useful in some contexts, they can also be dangerous. When they are conforming to perceived norms or obeying authority figures, individuals sometimes do things they wouldn't do on their own. This fact was exemplified by the Milgram studies, where participants proved willing to deliver increasingly strong electric shocks to a Confederate even when the Confederate pleaded with them to stop, simply because an authoritative experimenter had instructed them to. Excessive conformity and obedience have contributed to atrocities such as the My Lai massacre, the Jonestown massacre, and the Holocaust.